deep in your nose, in between your toes, smack dab in the middle of your split crotch pantyhose. The Unknown Show.
Talk show.
The Unknown Show.
Talk show.
The Unknown Zone.
Talk show.
Do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Jenny McCarthy of Brooklyn Public Access, Yvonne Dillette.
Very, very confident. I like that. Hi, I'm your host, Yvonne Dillette. Welcome to the Unknown Zone Talk Show. This is the show that begs to ask the question. See, I'm okay. Okay, editing's great. We're gonna do a lot of editing.
Yeah, no, at least you're not live, right? You can make mistakes when you're not live.
Right, exactly. This is the show that begs to ask the question, why should I stay in New York? And we will get to that. And I did watch some of your stuff saying that you stayed in New York because you weren't one of the people that are leaving and going to Texas and Florida, which I actually am investigating. So, okay, so that's the question. Phil is my sidekick, Phil Sorge, and the band. Welcome, Phil. It's been a little while. And my special guest tonight is a lot of things. You're a pantologist, which I looked up means curious about many things. You're a political candidate for New York City Council for District 47. You ran last year, and we'll talk about that as well. And your platform, which is the main reason why I'm so glad you're on the show, because it's my whole life at this point, is medical freedom. And I found you, I got to say your name. Holy moly. I'm going to try not to curse. I know, right? I was watching, now this is the thing. I hope I pronounce your name right. It's okay, that's the joke. Okay. It's the last name, that's the joke. Okay. Welcome, Mark. Wait, I wrote it down. I wrote it down phonetically. Mark. Oh shit, Mark.
It took her all day.
I'm still going to say it wrong. I know. Mark Szuszkiewicz. Szuszkiewicz?
Nope. When you said you wrote it down phonetically, I thought you had advice for me in advance. It's shoe is in a pair of shoes, then skev, then each person. So that's the way I write it down phonetically for people. But yeah. Pantologist is more an accurate translation would be a jack of all trades, not just curious about all trades.
Gotcha.
But it's a fancy word for jack of all trades, which is why I'm sure it was Googled a lot more times than it has been recently.
It's a great word, though. I really liked it. I was intrigued. Welcome, Mark. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, Mark.
The purpose of using that word. Thank you.
Exactly.
Medical freedom is what I'm kind of known for on social media, but my platform is very diverse. A lot of different nonpartisan ideas in education and affordable housing and helping the homeless and things of that nature. But I know that's the topic that you want to talk about today. So it's your show. What did you want to know?
I want to talk about. Well, I find it. I was watching your interview with I don't know, was he a Polish fellow? I didn't get his name. That was taken.
Yura is the Russian TV host. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I'm glad I watched it because it was taken off of. Was it on YouTube?
It was taken off of my Final Takes is my TV show, which is also on BPN, which airs Saturdays at 2:30 p.m. on BPN2, which is 56 Time Warner, 69 Optimum, and 44 on Verizon.
Right.
The YouTube channel took it down. On his channel, it wasn't taken down yet because I guess I edited out the beginning, which was all in Russian. So I guess that's what saved his from being there. They probably watched it and didn't realize it. But with mine, since I put it on Instagram and YouTube and everything, and I already have a kind of a red flag on my account. So
sure, of course. I luckily I'm not that popular, so they haven't gotten to me yet. And what I
You
do,
had me on, so that's it. It's over.
I know it's over.
Watching
Woohoo!
you now.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
He'll plug
What-
he'll plug the show and it'll all be over.
It'll all be over. But you know what? This is the thing, is that what I was doing, because I have been talking, I used to have mostly like people in the arts on my show, and I've been getting more political and intuitive stuff and astrology and that kind of thing, because I'm very concerned about what's happening and where we're headed, so I have done things where I'll put sound bites where we say the V word or certain things so they don't, catch it. But at this point, what are you going to do, right?
How crazy is that, though? I mean, when you talk about free speech, and it's like we're afraid to say
I know
the V word, or talking about fraud when it comes to
that's it.
Voting and stuff. Like, I think that's why it was taken down, because I went into detail on how the fraud, the evidence of the fraud in the other interview, and that's exactly why it was taken down, because it went into
Right.
the big cheeses, because I don't even want to say the T word in that case.
I know.
Say his name, and then you'll be banned too.
And Dr. F, that whole thing.
Then my then my election as well, I went into detail on how it was stolen, and they don't,
Right.
I mean, if they took down Rudy Giuliani, they took down anyone that gets into the detail of actual evidence, because the narrative is there's no evidence and everyone is just a blind Trump supporter following him with no evidence whatsoever, and it was stolen, and people just
Right.
blindly following him. Obviously, we're not blindly following him.
Of course, no.
We've seen all the evidence out there. Despite the fact that it's censored, we see, we have you could take it down, but you're not going to remove it from our memory. We saw it, like, we know what happened.
Exactly. And that's what I think's so great about the Dr. F emails, is that no matter what happens, it's out there now, and he knows it,
Yeah.
and I found out maybe a year ago. I started watching videos with Dr. Judy Mikovits. Right. So that whole thing, because it started way back with her and him. And do you know the story with her?
No.
Well, she worked with him, and she discovered items in the vaccines that weren't good, and talked to him. And then he got her fired from research. And she had worked with him for 20 years, something like that. She wrote a book, which I can't think of the name right now. But my main question to you is, I'm so grateful. I went to the rally last Tuesday, by the way, in front of Pfizer, and I was very glad I did. But I know you said that you can't just let what's happening go by, and I think that's amazing. But what even got you into that part of your campaign or platform? Because to me, it's everything.
I mean, I ran for state assembly last year once COVID started, because, I mean, before that, background in financial services. I got my CDL to drive a truck because I wanted to travel the country and get paid for it back, the November prior. And that's what I wanted to do. I was enjoying myself. And then, the whole COVID thing happened, and I saw New York is being shut down everywhere. And all the things that they're doing with the government, and I just felt that I needed to step up. I mean, trucking was very enjoyable. It's not very stressful for me. I mean, a lot of people driving, they don't like driving. I particularly love driving, so it was something that I was enjoying. But I don't trust politicians to do the right thing. I trust myself to do the right thing. I had a lot of creative ideas on how to fix things, like using municipal bonds to fund affordable housing, and possibly other projects as well to try to rebuild the city. Like when you had the Chicago fire over like 100 years ago or so, it was private money that helped to rebuild the city. And, you got to motivate those private investors somehow. And I don't think, most of the current politicians are either corrupt or incompetent or both. So it's something where I felt like I had to throw my hat in the ring there. And when I saw, the mask wearing and the vaccines and things of that nature, I mean, right from the beginning, I was against the mask wearing. The first statement from Dr. Fauci was that it wasn't necessary. And
Right.
he gave the common sense rationale behind why it wasn't necessary. So when you backtrack it, I mean, it's unanimously, the scientific community unanimously believed for years that masks do nothing to prevent viral infections. So what would be the reason for it afterwards? And it's partly what he said before in his original statement, where it might make people feel safe. And that's kind of the thing. They said everyone has to wear a mask, and then, you know, people are wearing their mask is kind of like a false sense of security.
Absolutely.
And then it's also a way to divide people, because you have the people who aren't wearing them, and the mainstream media outlet is making it seem like we're all selfish people, when in reality, we're trying to inform you that the masks are doing more harm than good. Back in 1918, and I've said this on a bullhorn throughout at least most of the boroughs. I'm not sure if I've done any protests in Queens yet, but Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, I've definitely been on the bullhorn protesting at different events and mentioning how in 1918, millions of people died from bacterial infections as a result of wearing masks. Dr. Fauci wrote an article about it back in 2008.
Really?
We're repeating exactly what we did wrong over 100 years ago, because you think that, you know, covering your face or something would help or something, and that seems like what, you know, it seems like it makes sense in some ways, but then when you really look at it, you're breathing in your own waste. So obviously it doesn't make sense. You're not breathing in fresh air, and you're doing more harm than good. What are the symptoms of wearing, you know, the mask all day long? You're going to give yourself a headache. You're going to give yourself a sore throat. And, you know, it could be something, you know, more serious like bacterial pneumonia. And, you know, the fact checkers want to always say there's no evidence. That's their key word. There's no evidence. Like, come on now, like you're being ridiculous. There's obviously.
The problem is, why aren't people doing other research? People are, like I am. I follow people like Del Bigtree from the High Wire, who got censored, who got shut down from YouTube and Facebook, who used to be on The Doctors. He's a medical journalist. I don't know if you know him. The High Wire, he's amazing. And he's all connected to all these doctors who used to be in the medical field, who are now all holistic in different modalities. And there's another guy I follow, Robert Scott Bell, who's in homeopathy. I've been involved in holistic modalities for over 25 years. So when this first started, I knew it was, you know, not true. You know, I knew I never got a flu shot, and I never had the flu.
Yeah. When you talk about shedding and stuff like that, I believe that from the beginning. Like once they started giving everyone the flu shot, you see the flu is more common after people started getting the flu shot. Like, you know, like I don't have to be a doctor to realize the common sense behind a lot of these things.
And where is everyone's common sense? That's the problem. What everyone just believes, not everyone, because I just want to say not everyone, because there is a contingency of us who don't believe it, obviously. But a lot of people do this blind faith thing where they trust their doctors, you know, without question, and they don't do anything.
There's the old saying, don't believe what you read in the papers. They've been saying that for decades. You even had you know, Malcolm X say, you know, if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you loving the people doing the oppressing and hating the people that are oppressed. And people just love these, you know, people like Fauci and the media who are giving them the wrong information and are doing the oppressing, because they're destroying people's lives, they're destroying people's health, they're destroying the finances, the small businesses, they're destroying the country as a whole. Philip, you wanted to say something?
Early on, before it was full-blown pandemic time, and there was nurses in my institution saying, "Oh, you have to wear a mask." I said, "I'm not wearing a mask. Give me the reasons why you're wearing a mask." And their nurses couldn't even tell me. Yeah. And I said, I'm not going to wear a mask until the institution mandates me as a term of employment to wear the mask. And then that happened less than a week, of course. But I was like, you know, they were looking at me like I had 3 heads.
Yeah, and they, like I said, they think that you're a bad person and you don't care about other people. But it's,
right. And meanwhile, they're the ones that don't even know why or do the research. So can I tell you, I have had people say to me, I say, I'm not getting the thing, you know, and it's really nobody's business, right?
You said the V word before already.
I know. I'm crazy.
I don't know what you're trying anymore. I don't like it.
The jab, the V.
Try to avoid it.
It's hard. So anyway, so people, you know, will ask me, and usually I go, no way. or no effing way, you know. But then so I've had people say to me, "Oh, well, that's okay," like as if I'm the one. I was like, no, no, no. I need to say that to you.
Yeah.
It's okay because I'm worried for you.
Yeah.
We don't even know what's in it. It's
I
not.
said to my friend who got it because he thought that, you know, he couldn't travel without it.
I know. Well, they did all the
It's like
mind.
they use the word, you know,
Right.
passports, and it's like, oh, well, we're gonna need it to travel, so I might as well get it. It's like, no, you're supposed to say no so that you don't, you know, if the majority of people say no, then they won't pass this stuff, and that's why we're starting to see things reopen and have a segregation is back in style with a V section and a non-V section. But I told my friend, it's like, you know, there's no point arguing about it now. Like, you got it already. You can't un-F yourself, you know.
Right. Right. Well,
You know?
exactly. I've had friends get it and not get it. And I tried, Phil got it. He works in a hospital. I tried to do an intervention. It didn't work. But so he's our experiment. He's in the experiment group. I'm in the, what are we in? We're in the, what is the group? What, the non-vaxxers? We're in the, what is the word? Oh my God. Phil, you're in the hospital.
Non-conformance?
No, you're in the, you're either the ones that got it or you're in the control group. Thank you. Control.
Okay.
We're in the control group, the non-vaxxers. So,
So one more thing I wanted to point out was people, there are certain people, and this is true in a general statement, they make the general statement that science changes over time. And that's true for the most part, but they don't explain how it has changed over time. So they said, but science has changed over time.
They have an agenda. This is the thing. And this is, I got this from the Robert Scott Bell show. They focus on the germ theory as opposed to the law of the terrain. And the germ theory, which was spoken about by Louis Pasteur, is incorrect. And that's what they focused on in the 1800s. And what that means is that you can die from germs in the air. Like that's what they're focusing on, which is why they're pushing the V. So as opposed to the law of the terrain, remember we talked about it, I talked about another show with Gianni, this comic. The law of the terrain has to do with your immune system. And as healthy as you are is how, whether or not you get a cold or you get any kind of illness. Right? And he made a great point. He said that, you're younger than I am, but back in the day, doctors used to make house calls. And he said, how come doctors would make house calls, go to all these different patients that were sick or whatever, and they wouldn't get sick?
Their immune system's stronger.
Correct. And this is my other point, is that what they're focusing on or propagandering is that you have to get vaccines in general because your immune system no longer works. You know, they don't focus on health. They don't focus on.
It might not after the new mRNA. Who knows what that's going to do? Like,
exactly.
You might be dependent on a new one every single year from now on. That's why, like, you know, it's experimental, and it's probably, you know, they're talking about a third shot now for another strain in August, and it's going to be just like the flu shot.
So
where
obviously no one's immune system works anymore. We don't have, you know, don't worry about, I do mostly holistic medicine. If emergency Western medicine, right? That's what it's good for at this point, because they have not grown or changed in 100 years. Nothing, you can't tell me that there's only one way to cure or take care of cancer or a cold. When I have a cold, I take elderberry bark, I take raw honey. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't, and I get better. You know, so I want to ask you a question. I want to know why I should stay in New York, and where's your hope for New York? Because you are very passionate, and I'm very impressed with what you're doing and focusing on. So.
Well, I mean, staying in New York, I think everybody, including myself, fantasizes about other states like Florida or Texas or Arizona or wherever the case may be. Exactly. I mean, I think about it all the time because it's, how can you not? Like this just isn't like enjoyable anymore. It's not the same as it used to be. I don't want to argue with people about masks. I don't want to, argue with people about injecting an experimental vaccine for a disease with a 99.98% survival rate for my age group.
Exactly.
So it's like, but at the same time, Curtis Lewa's slogan, "Improve, don't move," and that starts with electing the right people. Now, if they're not electing the right people like myself or him, then it's going to be a different story. Like, I mean, a lot of the politicians who are running for office this year, it's like their last, their last fight. I might give it one more year if I lose again, which hopefully it doesn't come down to that. But after that, I can't just run for office and lose every year. I'm not making money doing this. I'm not, I could care less about followers on Instagram, even though I got to meet so many great people as a result of it. I didn't know who all these great people were before I started getting into politics. So, I just, it's not something that is fun for me. Like, despite people thinking I'm doing this for attention or for any other reason, I would rather honestly drive a truck and enjoy seeing the country. I'm returning to financial services full time because, I lost, that's where I made the most money in my lifetime. That's my area of expertise. And, I didn't really, I lost money last year running for office because it's not a paid opportunity. Donations don't go to my pocket. A lot of people don't know that. They see when Trump or other politicians are asking for donations, it's not like you're donating to them so they could buy a mansion. Like what happens when people donate to Black Lives Matter, people buy mansions with them. When you donate to a campaign, everyone could get paid except for the candidate. So I'm the one making the ultimate.
You mean, Mark, you're not supposed to divert it to your family and friends, that money, like some other politicians do?
I mean, a lot of them do.
It's like being a talk show host. It's the same thing.
Yeah, a lot of them do. I mean, I don't get it. I don't have the special interest groups donating six-figure checks to the campaign. So it's not like I could do that even if I wanted to. So there's not much money. I raised like $2,000 last year. I did most of the work myself. I designed my own website. I couldn't afford to do mailers, so I printed it. Had the door knockers printed out and put them on every door in the neighborhood myself manually. And, a couple of volunteers and things of that nature. But I couldn't outspend them, but I could outwork them. So I did my own graphic design, my own videos, my own video editing. Like, the diverse pantologist background has me not only coming up with creative ideas, but also, being able to do a lot of the stuff myself. But I mean, the difference between this year and last year, there's a couple. The donations are 8-to-1 matched by the city. So hopefully I'll reach the threshold for that. I'm pretty close to it. And so if somebody donates $10, I get another $80 from the city, and that goes up to $175 they'll match. So if somebody did $100, I'd get another $800 for the city. I did do that for people like myself that don't get six-figure donations from developers. The maximum donation anyone could do if you enroll in that program is $1,000. The maximum they match is $175, and then the maximum you could spend for the year is $190. So the maximum they'll match up to is like $21,111, and they'll give you $168,888. And then, so it makes it easier in the sense that if I do max out on my fundraising, I could use all these marketing ideas that I have to, get people in the district to vote for me. And then if I am in office, I could kind of spread that across the city with marketing and try to wake some people up, give them more information about all different things, not just medical freedom, but
there's a lot that needs,
everything that's being done. Like this particular city council candidate voted to remove qualified immunity with the police department and go into details on why that's a dumb idea. And pretty much anything that they try to pass. If I wanted to do that with the state assembly, if I was in office, I would have contacted everyone throughout the entire state of New York. This particular state assembly candidate voted this way, and this is why you need to vote him out the next thing. So people will learn pretty quickly that if they're doing the wrong thing, I'll be contacting all their voters in their district. So
nice. So, and you support Curtis Mayfield?
I didn't want to endorse a candidate for the Republican primary until I interviewed both of them, and the way Mateo felt about vaccine passports, it's kind of like he was a pushover. saying that it's, it's really up to the governor. The mayor doesn't have a say in it, kind of thing. So,
Oh.
and it's like,
It's a little wishy-washy.
yeah, the
And
mayor
so Curtis is against vaccine passports.
100%.
Thank God. And how do we get rid of Cuomo?
Well, that's next year's election.
Is that what that is?
Lee Zeldin is the Republican, most likely going to be the Republican endorsed candidate. There's plenty of Republican candidates. Derek Gibson is another one that I've campaigned with and protested with. He's been out there in the medical freedom movement for a while. So it really depends. It's definitely. I mean, it looks like you're gonna have to vote for a Republican, or if you're a Democrat, vote for anyone.
I was.
Yeah.
Well,
So Mark, it looks like, Mark, that you feel that Cuomo is under investigations, nothing will happen, and you'll have to vote him out.
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, you have another year before, a year and a half before the election for Cuomo, but it seems like they, even these Fauci emails, that's like everything's just being, put swept under the rug. Like if you look at any mainstream news story about the Fauci emails, or if you Google it, everything in the mainstream media is talking about his emails were released, and it shows how tired he was and how he was the burden of a man in such a position like that. It's like that's the stories that you read, CNN.
Right, but I don't go to you don't use Google anymore, do you?
That he could be on People Magazine and Vanity Fair.
DuckDuckGo is the way to go, but at the same time, I still use Google to see what everyone else is seeing.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Well, that's why. But see, that's the thing. Thank God for this is what they whoever they are didn't plan on with the internet, is that a lot of us found out a lot of information that we would have never found out if it wasn't for the internet, right? So now I know all this stuff that I would have never known, right? And that people didn't know in let's say 1918, where people just got vaccinated, they didn't question anything. And I understand from the Spanish flu that the people that died were the ones that were vaccinated. That's my research. So so I found out that, and I found out all this other stuff about the Rockefellers and the AMA and trying to silence holistic modalities in general. So and all the like my sister is a big fan of Newsmax, so that's where she gets her news, and it's more truthful than mainstream media.
Yeah, and I mean Fox News is I never really saw it as a reliable source to begin with. And so a lot of people left Fox News to go to Newsmax, but but the other thing when you talk about censorship, there's the fact checkers. The Fauci emails, I posted the Fauci emails on my Instagram, and if you notice, Instagram is @MarkForNY, as as you follow, but for your listeners out there, I put the direct link to the Fauci emails in my bio in my link tree. And I also, posted about it, but I did a repost from someone else who had all these images already created. So I used his images, Old America, and one of them said Fauci emails leaked. So it was fact checked because of the word leaked, because they weren't leaked, they were released because of a Freedom of Information Act request. So that's what was fact checked, but people don't realize, people don't look and see why it was fact checked. They just see fact checked and they think, oh, well, this isn't true. He didn't recommend hydroxychloroquine to his family. He didn't do all these things that it says in these emails. These emails are fake. It's fact checked. No, it's not fact.
A lot of people don't believe the fact checkers as much.
I had somebody comment on my Facebook and insult me and then put a screenshot of how it's fact checked. I was like, did you even bother to look at why it was fact checked? And then I explained it, that it's, they fact checked the word leaked. They didn't fact check that the information was false. They're just fact checking the fact that it says leaked and it wasn't leaked. And they did that so that gullible people like you go and look at the post and think that it's false just because it said fact check. So, I'm not the typical politician. I'm a native Brooklyn. I fire back at people.
Good.
I only have to get 51% of the vote.
Right.
I'll go back to driving a truck. I'll go back to financial services full time. I'm looking to save the city. I don't got time for nonsense. I don't got time for gullible people. I'm not going to wear a mask on every time the news camera is on me, because other politicians and, you know, both Republican and Democrat, they'll wear the mask because they don't want the media to attack them. They're afraid of the media. The media could attack me all day, every day. The people in the community who have met me, who have spoken to me, know that I'm a good-hearted person, that I'm doing this for all the right reasons, and that's why they supported me last year. That's why they're going to support me this year. That's why more people are going to support me this year, and that's why I'm going to win this year.
No, we need your voice. We need you, and we need everybody at the rally. It was amazing. I was curious about, you weren't at the rally that I went to, but there was a guy there, and I don't know his name, and he told us some information about Pfizer and that they
Locations.
yes, and also that they lost a lot of money in the Lipitor lawsuit. And
Yeah, I saw the video.
Oh, okay, right. So what do you think of him saying that Dr. F was going to get arrested, though?
I mean, I hope so. You know, the next hashtag will be Fauci didn't kill himself, like we had with Epstein.
Well, I've seen that already. I've seen those memes already. They're out there, right?
He's known to. He's got a lot of information out there, and he's not gonna. You know, they're gonna want him to throw all the people.
Oh,
in the
yes.
bus, like so.
Yes.
But that's why, I mean, they'd probably rather give him his own private island in the middle of the nowhere where no one finds him than let him get arrested. So
Right.
I mean.
And I was very happy to find out that Bill Gates was friends with Epstein, because not only is he not a doctor, but he hung out with him, and the latest I heard was that he asked him for he asked him for marital advice. He asked Bill Gates asked Jeffrey Epstein for marital advice, and also to help him try to win a Nobel Prize.
Yeah. That's entertaining. This is a comedy show, right? So
It is, and but that's true.
It's true.
Right,
You know,
the funny stuff is true.
True.
Exactly. So, Mark, we have 6 minutes. 6 minutes left. I really appreciate you coming on. I will edit and post all your information, even besides what you already have behind you, which is awesome. So, because if things don't change, I will leave New York, because like you said, I'm not gonna.
I don't blame you. I might be right behind you.
Yeah, and I hope not. I hope not.
You lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. If you're still voting Democrat after all of this that's happened,
right?
And it happened before in the 70s, the 80s. The Democrats kept destroying the city. It wasn't until Rudy Giuliani, a Republican, came in where people were finally like, okay, enough is enough. Let's vote Republican. But you have a lot of people who aren't from New York, who are, spoiled and whatever.
Park Slope, I don't know what happened to the people in Park Slope. It's like all the crunchy people, all the organic people drank the Kool-Aid, and they're doing everything that Fauci and Cuomo, it's disgusting to me. And this is the thing.
You would think that the healthy people that are all about,
you wouldn't get a jab.
And all that stuff.
Why would you get a jab?
You're worried about gluten and stuff, but you're injecting an mRNA vaccine. Like, what are you doing?
Oh my God. I have a friend that was in a Netflix series on chemical sensitivities, and she got both vaccines. And I'm like, what the F? What is wrong with you? It makes no sense. So, this is why I'm so grateful, because you give me hope in general, and I follow all the people around the country. There's an organization called V is for Vaccine. I'm saying it, whatever. In Florida, they had 4 rallies over Memorial Day weekend, and they walk around with they have the signs. I give out these cards. I got this.
They're the facts.
The facts. They're not right. They're facts, and they have all the facts on the back. Things like they're exempt from liability. All the drug we know all this stuff. So I do whatever I can. I talk to whoever I can, but the bottom line is, if New York doesn't change, I feel like New York broke my heart, because I went to NYU back a long time ago, before they had buildings, and and then I came out to Brooklyn 16 years ago, which I've enjoyed. But I will tell you that you want discrimination. I play poker. Phil and I know each other from playing poker, and we used to play a lot at different people's houses, for low stakes. I cannot play poker at this one person's house because I'm not vaccinated.
Wow.
How effed up is that?
But they really want to know where you're going to move to. Some people thought you moved. I didn't say a word.
Yeah, that's all right.
Somebody,
I'm looking at,
did she move already?
I think I'm looking at
I didn't say a
Houston.
word.
I'm looking at Houston. Florida, I like this. Do you like DeSantis?
Oh yeah, he's great. Like
Yeah.
be
He would
my
make a good president, don't you think?
Yep. That would be my number one guy. I think
Wow.
at that point.
Yeah. So we
mean-
have 3 minutes. What do you want to say, promote? I want you to wrap it up. I appreciate everything you say. I just want to say before you say your last words, thank you for what you're doing. And you have kahunas, and that's what all these politicians need to have. And some, I'm trying to follow the ones that are, but the whole system is broken, and it shouldn't be about what party you're following. It should be what platform are the candidates for.
Yep, that's part of my slogans: vote for the person, not the party, and forget red versus blue. Vote for the candidate that will fight for you. That's on a lot of my campaign literature. That's on my campaign website, which is mark4ny.com. That goes into all the details about my ideas and the issues page. Some of them are on the state level, some of them are on the federal level, which I can't implement, but I put those out there anyway because I was running for state last year. And it's also just to put the ideas out there. Like the bank overdraft fees was something I talked about last year, which is something I could have implemented on the state level. And then I saw Elizabeth Warren call out the CEO, Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan Chase, as the king of overdraft fees. So I was like, wow, okay, I was the first politician in history to even talk about overdraft fees. At least other people are bringing it out there. I talk about life skills classes in schools. I see other politicians mentioning it more frequently now too. I talked about lease to own with NYCHA housing, which I saw Curtis Lewa mention in his last debate. So there's other people that are hearing my ideas, and if I don't get the chance to implement them, hopefully another Republican or Democrat will get the chance to implement them. And the direct donation site is mark4ny.com. You could donate on the main page as well. That one loads faster because there's less videos and things of that nature on there. So,
and we're gonna get cut off. I don't want to.
I see the timer as well.
Yeah.
But
Okay, good. Okay, Mark, thank you so much. Phil, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mark.
I appreciate you. I will edit this and send you it and get it out there as much as I can as well. And I appreciate you. And thank you everybody for watching the show, the Unknown Zone Talk Show. Mark, Phil, take care. Awesome.
The Unknown Show.
Talk show.
The Unknown Show.
Talk show.
The Unknown Zone.
Talk show.